Hello, my name's Ajay and you're watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. Today we're privileged to be joined by Vivienne Woolston. Vivienne was a business person. However, after the London bombings of 2005, she became a peace worker and hence became the founder of Thursday's Child, a celebration of faith. Vivienne, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Absolute pleasure.
Well, today's topic is about a personal crusade for interfaith. And before you tell us all about that, can you share with us a defining moment from your life?
Well, a couple of years ago, in actual fact, July the 7th, 2005, I realised immediately what I truly had to do. Quite peculiarly, I handed my notice in on the 30th of June. I'd been for nearly 5 years the marketing and fundraising director for a charity in Hampshire. And I truly didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew that I would know. And strangely, 7 days after handing my notice in, and the 7th of July happened, it really hit something deep inside. And I just knew with complete and utter certainty that I had to focus for the rest of my life to work on completely turning that dreadful, dreadful situation round into something that could actually promote peace and harmony.
Can you tell us, for the international audience out there, that what actually happened on that tragic day?
Well, it was, I go cold even thinking about it now. It was the most hideous terrorism on the streets of London that anyone could ever witness. And although I wasn't actually there on the day, when I saw it on the TV screens, it was just the most hideous carnage. And I just knew with such deep certainty that nobody could do that in the name of the God of love that I'd been brought up to believe all my life. And indeed nobody could do that in the name of Allah, in the name of any almighty divine being. And quite honestly, how dare anyone take a divine being to do something just so completely hideous. And that's actually what was the inspiration behind the sort of few words that are the mission of Thursday's Child, a celebration of faith, is to take a supposed source of conflict and make it into a resource for peace and harmony, giving voice to the silent majority of peace-loving people.
And so it was born on that Thursday, the 7th of July 2005.
Yes, absolutely. And the following day I started putting my, if you like, my vision into reality. I've just thrown absolutely everything at it. I mean, you know, all of my life skills, my management, my marketing, PR, event management, if you like, you know, public speaking, PR, you know, everything. For me personally, you know, all of my experience has put me, I believe, in a perfect place to move this huge, huge project forward.
Well, thank you for sharing that defining moment. And I'd like to get on to what you actually said earlier about a supposed conflict. Because often we look at the world and it's very easy to say, well, religion is the source of all the conflict, the source of war. Now, how do you understand that argument? Is religion the source of all these conflicts in the world?
I think it's actually a man's greed that is the source of all war, and it's very, very easy to blame religion. I actually have a bit of a problem even with the expression religion. I feel much more comfortable with belief or faith. Religion to me is man's interpretation of what God wants. God wants us all to be on his earth and live in peace and harmony. You know, so, you know, religion, if people truly followed their belief, then there's no room in that for terrorism or murder or hatred.
And how do you explain that, for example, to a young person if they come up to you and you're the founder, you're celebrating this great interfaith crusade? How do you explain that to, let's say, a young person that actually religion is not the source of all these conflicts, and that's why this work that you're doing is actually worth doing.
I actually think young people, the young people that I've spoken to, they are far more open than the adults. I believe they accept one another far more easily and have far more healthy conversations with one another about what they believe. Sadly, I think adults have interpretations of things, and those interpretations are not necessarily accurate. The whole idea of a celebration of faith is actually, to give adults, children, all ages, backgrounds, cultures, faiths, the opportunity to meet with one another deliberately in a non-religious environment.
What would you mean by that, a non-religious
Well, under a
environment?
huge marquee. So in other words, you're not in a church, not in a gurdwara, not in a mosque, or not in a temple, but in just a huge area, and be able to go and speak to different people of different faiths. Every single major faith will be represented.
Well, let's actually look at the faiths. Out of the mainstream faiths that are obviously in the world, who have actually been your main supporters? Who's actually really backing this project?
Well, there's two elements to that. Backing in a moral sense, then each and every one of the major faiths are backing me in that way. By that I mean, I've met up with them. They're very comfortable, very congratulatory on how far I've taken this idea, and on the other sort of side of the moral way of supporting, I have, for example, the Muslim chaplain to the British Armed Forces is on the working group. I've got a wonderful Sikh gentleman who is able to help. I've got a sort of a broad reach of people on the working group. As far as finances are concerned, the Zoroastrians, bless them, have pledged £1,001. But as yet there's no other funding that's actually come from the faith groups.
So you've been running it completely from your own finances?
I've been personally bankrolling the project since its inception, and earlier this year in January my organisation gained charity status, and since that time the Duchy of Lancaster Benevolent Fund have donated £2,000, I should make that clear. The Metropolitan Police, not only morally but also financially, they've come on board also, and also Canary Wharf Limited, they've come on board financially, but I'm still struggling for funds.
And Vivienne, how do you feel about that?
I'm absolutely thrilled that the Zoroastrians pledged the funds, many months ago, which is so wonderful of them. They're a very, very small community within the United Kingdom. I think they have about 3,000 members. As far as the other faiths, I don't, of course, stand in judgment, because they are as they are. By that I mean, if they, I have actually asked, for financial support. I've deliberately not wished to actually charge the faiths to exhibit, but I have made it clear that each to their own ability. It would be wonderful if a contribution, a donation was made to help facilitate the actual process, because clearly there are funds that are needed, and sadly for whatever reason they haven't chosen to provide funds.
Do you feel like you're competing with other interfaith organisations or other events, or even perhaps internally within those faiths they have their own projects and activities, and they're also celebrating interfaith or carrying out interfaith activities, and that in itself is the reason why? Or is it just you feel like it's not an important issue?
I truly don't know. I really don't know the reasoning.
Okay.
I do feel sincerely that the funds will come. I have an expression, all in God's time.
Yes.
So I've taken a huge leap of faith for peace, and I really don't think anyone can do anything truly for good, without, if you like, stuff happening positively. And I feel very, very deeply that I'm really, really doing the right thing. And I'm learning a huge lot along the way, which is pretty magnificent. I'm meeting some wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm really thrilled at how far my organisation has come.
Can you tell us about that? Let's say perhaps the key lessons you've learned in planning this event, the Thursday's Child Celebration of Faith event.
Well, one of the key things for me was actually having sort of got all of these pieces of this huge jigsaw together. It was ready to, if you like, open it up and hand it over and get others engaged in the process. And that sort of happened in December. And that was then the formation of the working group. And they're a wonderful, wonderful group of people, all having their own strength and energy and commitment. And what is actually quite amusing is that one person on the group, is quite, a non-believer. But what they're doing for the event is absolutely staggering. So it's actually
what's motivating them, just out of curiosity?
I actually feel that my expression is that they actually get it, that they get how important this is, that people should actually have an opportunity to understand one another more than ever. I think it's so very, very important. One anecdotal bit of evidence for me personally is that I believe, I'm a Christian, and I believe that understanding about different faiths has actually made me a better Christian. And
if I was going to start an interfaith celebration event, if I suddenly decided, perhaps not in the UK, but another part of the world, this is a great idea, I'd like to also hold an event like this, what would be the first few steps I should take?
Specifically to engage with all of the major faiths and get them, if you like, signed up, speak to the different interfaith organisations and get them on board. I've opened it up for children to be involved. There's 100 children, for example, from Newham that are going to be, hundreds of children from Newham that are going to take part in a special song, and children speaking about their faith. So to, if you like, to tap into to different networks. It's amazing how as soon as you sort of open yourself up and have dialogue with people, then different routes start, different roads, if you like, open up, and you get introductions and so on. So it's actually the advice would be to follow your heart, and you'll know exactly where to go, and of course book a venue. And to make sure you get a good working group behind you that has some diversity, not only of faiths and cultures, but also of skills.
Well, you mentioned children, and you also mentioned earlier about how young people can often gel together more when it comes to these issues, more than perhaps the older generation. So what do you actually think about this idea of the role of children as peacemakers?
Magnificent. They're, if you like, inheriting the earth, aren't they? And they can copy or ignore, what their parents or what their forefathers have done. And I think the more young people can speak with each other, the better. There's a gorgeous group of young people down in Portsmouth. The organisation is called Interfusion, and they have a wonderful, wonderful eclectic mix of youngsters, and they get together every so often and hold events, and they're very, very keen to be involved with Thursday's Child, which is wonderful. They're going to be there on the day, and they have the most wonderful discussions, and God must love it.
I think there's a crucial point in also what you said about what they either choose to copy or ignore, because you can either choose to ignore, let's say, your parents' particular prejudices, like they might perhaps have certain feelings and resentments towards another faith group or another culture, or they can copy that and say, actually, and often children will take on things on board that are actually nothing to do with their own experiences and feelings, but nevertheless, suddenly they take on resentment, they take on hate, they take on all this bigotry against a group of people that they have no direct experience with. So I think in that respect, bringing children on board is crucial. And is it the case that you're thinking with Thursday's Child to particularly focus on the future rather than, let's say, the older generation? I'm very deeply committed to focusing on the now. I actually think if we get the now right, the future will look after itself, and I hope that doesn't sound a very glib statement, because I've actually never defined it like that ever, before. But I really do think we need to deal with stuff now. Okay, so let's find out more about Thursday's Child. What's actually going to be happening, and what's now like the step by step? What's going to get us to this amazing event on the 7th of July, 2007?
Okay, well, firstly then, with regards to the event, there's 7 sort of elements to it. So number 1 is the exhibition style, where all of the faiths will have a stand, and that'll be managed with representatives from each of the different faiths, so the public can go and have a conversation with the faith leaders of the Buddhists, or the Baha'is, or the Brahma Kumaris, and so on and so forth. And that's just 3. I mean, there's about 12. So that's number 1. Secondly, each of the faiths are being asked to nominate a representative that is able to speak publicly for sort of 15 or 20 minutes about their faith, and to be able to have a dialogue with people, with questions and answers, so workshop style. There'll also be a stand or more than one sort of representing interfaiths, so the interfaith community will have a dialogue also. There's going to be workshops carried out, sort of interfaith workshops, so that's another element. There's going to be youngsters speaking publicly about their faith for just sort of 2 or 3 minutes, and not so much speaking purely just about their faith, but actually what their faith means to them, which I think is sort of a slightly different concept than sort of, for example, saying, well, I'm a Christian, so I believe such and such. It's far more
personal. Yes,
what that actually means to them. There's going to be a storytelling, and there's going to be hundreds of school children taking part in the song that I think I mentioned earlier. And of course also, last but not least, there's going to be a quiet area set aside for each and every faith to have their devotional time, so that members of the public can, for example, see how Muslims pray, how Hindus pray, how Kumaris meditate, and so on and so forth. So that'll be rather charming, because having experienced Muslims and also the Sikh community with their devotional time, I think that'll be a very, very special time. And there won't be any pressure on people to take part, but if you sort of feel, well, actually, it'd be really lovely to sort of see, well, what do the Zoroastrians do with their, their divine? How does their sort of prayer go? Then you'll be able to go and sort of watch.
So it's a kind of an open invitation where you can go in,
yes,
and
yes.
wherever you would like to go, you can actually go and explore a faith.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there'll be a timetable over the weekend, so people can sort of, if you like, cut and paste, what they want to do.
Now, if I come to Thursday's Child on the 7th and 8th of July, what kind of experience would you like me to walk away with?
Oh, I would want you to be touched, moved and inspired by the love of God. I would want you to go away with such a deep feeling of all the similarities between all of the major faiths, that the differences would seem so very, very small, set against all of the things that we truly all believe together.
Vivienne, I've been to many interfaith or intercultural events, and they tend to be either like a yearly once-off event or a flash in the pan, which you never really hear about again. Is Thursday's Child going to be another flash in the pan?
Absolutely not. The vision is that after the London event, and it has to be in London for the first year, this event belongs to London, that it would then go to every city in the United Kingdom, and then to continental Europe, and then globally, internationally.
And what, every year on the 7th of July?
I think that would be magnificent. It would be absolutely a dream come true. There are conversations underway about Thursday's Child being the catalyst for a national Interfaith Day. And I'm sort of, I can't help thinking how wonderful that would be if it was an international Interfaith Day.
What drives you from a religious, spiritual point of view? What's at the heart of Thursday's Child from a spiritual point of view?
I just feel, I feel completely blessed that I'm working on this project, and I feel so completely committed right deep inside myself that I am truly doing the right thing, and I consider I'm on a very, very interesting spiritual journey, and who knows where that'll ultimately lead.
And is that a model of the kind of the essence of how you would like to see the world in the future as a one world community?
Absolutely. Without taking away the diversity, I would dearly love to see barriers broken down. But I do live in the real world, and I think each and every one of the people that do visit Thursday's Child will take away with them even just one defining moment of their own.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event spread over those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So is everything ready? Do you have it all set up and ready to go?
Absolutely. The 7th and 8th of July hopefully is in everyone's diary.
And where should they turn up?
West Ham Memorial Park.
Okay, and so that's East London?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, if I want to find out more about Thursday's Child and just the details and perhaps how I can even get involved, what can I do?
Well, it'd be a really good start to have a look at the website, which is www.thursdays-child.co.uk.
Okay. And following on from that, do I need to perhaps sign up for the day, or do I just simply make a note in my diary and be ready to come along on Saturday and Sunday?
Be ready to come along, and one thing that I would like to make very, very clear, that not only is it free for the faith exhibitors on the day, but it's free for members of the public.
Okay. Well, I hope many, many thousands come along, and it really will be a catalyst for something larger that can really make an impact in not just the area of interfaith, but I think perhaps what you're really after, which is to make an impact in how the world can become a human family that actually can live and prosper together in peace.
And harmony.
And harmony. Well, thank you very much, Vivienne, for coming in today, and I'll see you on the 7th.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
You've been watching The Defining Moment for creating the culture of conscience. If you'd like to see more of our shows, we're on the web at www.definingmoment.eu. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best.